And Russia has ordered tens of thousands of people to evacuate following Ukraine's cross-border incursion into the Russian Kursk region. Russian officials say 28 settlements were taken under Ukrainian control. They also said Ukrainian forces advanced over 7 miles into Russia along a 25-mile wide section of the border. Here for insight into how this is shaping the war, we hear from Kursk Okwen. He's the former lead intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance coordinator for the U.S. Army and the host of This Week Explained podcast.
Welcome, and thank you for having me on again. So I think Ukraine wanted this to kind of change the trajectory of the war and push it back onto their side, but it doesn't look like that's happening. So what Russia has done here is they've not taken the bait. They have sent troops, but not as many troops as Ukraine had hoped for. This is coming from Ukrainian sources, as well as the Russian social media and Telegram channels. So they're kind of in agreement there. And so what it looks like is, instead of stretching the Russian forces too thin, what's going on is Russia is sending some specialized forces into the region to kind of repel those attacks.
Okay, Kervin, and to your point, the Long War Journal analysis piece says that this was a gambit for Ukraine in the Kursk region. It was meant to divert Russian forces, which, like you're saying, doesn't seem to be the case, and shift momentum of the war back to Ukraine's side. And this is a bigger cross-border incursion than we've seen from previous attacks here. Does this signal a shift in posture for Ukraine more broadly in the war, from defensive to offensive, or is this more localized?
No, I think this is completely trying to change the entire posture, and there's a reason for this. So with U.S. elections coming up, I do think Ukraine is looking at the two candidates, the two major candidates in the U.S. Election. And listen, I'm not a political analyst or anything like that, but we all know that presidential candidate for the Republican Party, Donald Trump, has said that he's going to force both sides to come to the negotiating table. And if that happens, Ukraine has got to either be seen as having the upper hand or have the upper hand. Otherwise, if Ukraine stays where they are right now and they're being seen as they're losing this war, or that the war's at a stalemate, they've lost all leverage in negotiations.
Understood, Kervin. And this initial attack involved drone crews, the SBU security service, even the air assault brigade, so it's very significant. Let's talk about public sentiment. Will this Ukrainian offensive affect support for Russia's war effort by Russians? How are they viewing the war already, and will this change anything?
Yeah, it's very interesting. I'm still trying to unwrap all of that. That's going to take some time as new polls come out within Russia, and then seeing the sentiment on those Russian Telegram channels and how that shifts, because now Ukraine has taken the fight to Russia, to the Russian people. So as I've said previously, yeah, Russia might have been feeling this in their pocketbooks or going to the grocery store, things like that, but they were not feeling the effects of this war from the Ukrainian military in their own land. That has significantly changed. Russia is still evacuating thousands of people from that region, and it's going to be interesting to see what those people are saying as they're being moved out.
Well, thank you for the in-depth analysis today. Kursk Okwen, former lead ISR coordinator for the U.S. Army.
Thank you for having me.